I decided I needed a new router table. My old one was getting all rattle trap. It was a bent sheet metal thing. The wheels on the bottom were not rolling well anymore. I originally thought I'd go out and buy something from some woodworking supply store, but looked at the price and decided that was a little unreasonable. Um, so this is what I came up with. I'd make it out of plywood, get it at Home Depot, just half-inch birch ply. Not very good quality stuff, but get the job done. And so here's what we have. Get two drawers that hold my router bits and spare tools and so forth. Up top, um, have the some doors, and inside I've got a metal box that I'd already had on the router table to collect all the dust and so forth. And around back, a hole coming out for the dust collection. Zoom in here, get sort of box joints with little dog bones in them to join the panels together. I went on to Vcarve, downloaded some models for sliders and for the casters, some nice 4-inch locking casters. Didn't end up buying those parts from Vcarve, but good place to get the models. And so figured something like that I could put together, cut up and put together, cut it on my shopbot and just assemble it fairly quickly. I probably spent more time working on this model than it took me to actually cut the parts and put it together. So the process of converting this model here into stuff I can cut with my CNC machine, we're working in VectorWorks here. If I take and look at a panel, here's a panel. We'll get it out of the rendering mode here. And I will take that and convert a copy to polygons. And I can just do the hidden line rendering here, and so here I have a rendering of that panel. So if I go and make a new file here and paste that in, so there's the panel. And the way VectorWorks does this is a little crazy. You see all these different polygons that make up the thing. I don't really need all of that. What we will do here is custom select only, where the fill pattern is solid. And so that's all the solid selected. And I'll just delete that. And now I've got a bunch of lines. These are all individual lines. I don't want lines, I want polygons. So I'm going to select those and compose, which takes all the lines that are connected together and joins them into continuous polygons. And I don't really need to have it filled. We'll have it empty. And so that's the pattern for the side of the router table. And I end up exporting that as a DXF. Actually, I'll go to DWG, contains more information on there, and then get this into the router table. And so here we have the side. I end up gathering all those different parts together, putting them on, laying them out onto plywood. And so I have all these different pieces, and that I end up bringing into Vcarve Pro. And so here you see one of the files I generated, and We've got a couple things going on here. Let's all start out with my piece of plywood here. I've got a 24-inch wide by 48-inch long sheet of plywood. I'm not going to do any offset, and it's 1/2 inch thick, and I'm zeroing off the bottom of the piece of plywood. So there's my parts, and I think I want to take all of them here and move them over a little bit, get it off the edge of the plywood. So here we have the parts all laid out, and what we've got going on right here is little grooves for the 1/8 inch plywood for the bottom of my drawers. So I'm going to pocket those. And so I have a pocket tool here. I will select my bit. We'll use a 1/4 inch down cut, and let's knock this out here. And so just one pass, we'll cut it to about 1/8 inch deep. And so this will be grooves. Calculate that, and so there's our grooves, and we can run that. And so here's what the grooves look like. And then if we go ahead and select these other things, now we're going to cut around the outside all the way through. Select that same down cut, 1/4 inch down cut, and you're going to want to add some tabs so they don't pop out. Just throw a couple of those in here, hold things together. Oops. And this one in there too. Got some tabs on that. Now here's and we will go ahead and preview that. Alright, looks like everything's cut out. Oh, that tab right there is no good. Edit. The tabs, this one's not doing much. Do right there and right there. And calculate that again. Reset the preview. And slow this down so you can actually see what's going on. So it's doing it in 2 passes with all those pieces out. Alright. And I want a few more tabs there. Need a tab either end of this to hold this one up. And let's go ahead and preview all 2 tool paths. Let's cut those grooves first. Cut out the parts. Alright, there we go. So then I like to merge those tools together. Merge tool path. And so now I can rename that, and this is sheet 3. Let's just double check this. Reset tool path. Reset preview. And bring speed back up, and we'll just preview that. And it looks like it's working. So go ahead and save that one. My shopbot uses quarter sheets of plywood, so I cut everything down to 2 foot by 4 foot before loading it on the bed. I'd love to have a larger surface, but this is what I've got room for in the shop. The shopbot buddy with the moving bed makes it easier to fit into my shop. I get the plywood at Home Depot. They sell sheets that are already cut down to 2 foot by 4 foot, but I've found immediately by looking that if I just get the full 4 by 8 sheet and bring it over to have them cut into the quarters, it's a lot cheaper, so that's what I have them do. On this cut, I was cutting right up to the edge of the plywood, so my hold downs weren't working well, so I added a couple extra. The bottom of my drawers is 1/8 inch thick plywood. I could have just used an 1/8 inch diameter bit to cut the grooves for the bottoms, but I didn't want to have to change out the bit, so I used that zigzag pattern with the 1/8 inch gap between the top and bottom and use that instead. I'm using the dust boot supplied with the shop bot. It works pretty well for flat goods, but I do some deep carving. It needs a different boot that allows for a deeper bit, so I came up with another one, which I'll show you in another video. I found my tabs weren't beefy enough, so I ended up cutting some of the panels out so they wouldn't get chewed up. Once I got all the parts cut out, I cut them out of the plywood and then gave them a quick sanding just to clean up all the fuzzies. Just to the right of me, you can see my old router table stand. Also on it, you'll note that I've got the power stock feeder. It puts a lot of weight on the whole system, and it ended up bending the casters on the bottom. You can see the caster there sort of bent. They're all bent like that. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on finish, so I decided I'd just wipe on some shellac. The roller I grabbed at first was all bound up, so that didn't work so well, so I ended up grabbing foam brushes. I tried to avoid putting shellac on the joints where I was going to have to glue. I wasn't perfect about that, but whatever. I would have saved myself a little bit of time if I'd had the sliders before doing the CAD work, so I could figure out where the holes had to be, but I didn't have them in time, so I had to do hand measuring. Just using yellow glue to hold everything together and then shooting a pin in. Um, I figure there's enough surface area that should be pretty good, and these finger joints be pretty strong as they are. Turns out I put the slides on going the wrong direction, so I just switch them around. I found these full locking casters at Home Depot. They're 6-inch casters. They're pretty nice, but they ended up making the whole unit too tall, so I found some 4-inch casters on Amazon and eventually replaced them. When I finished the cabinet, I pulled the old tabletop off the old stand and put it on the new cabinet. There it is.